Welcome back. It's time for episode 9 of Women Who Owned New Orleans. And get ready for this one because you're going to see how a woman converted business essentially into social entrepreneurship. And here's what that looked like. I feel like this is someone that Muhammad Yunus would be very proud of. Be sure to look him up. He's got several books on the concept of social entrepreneurship. So we're talking today about Margaret Haughery. Now, I don't 100% know how to say it. This was a straight up Irish immigrant, and as I understand it, a lot of Irish names are pronounced differently from how we might say it in a American English way, but we're going to just call her Margaret Haughery. Known fondly as the breadwoman of New Orleans or the mother of orphans, she was illiterate, unable to read, Irish immigrant who went from being a destitute young widow, having lost both her husband and her daughter, to one of the to become later one of the city's greatest philanthropists. And she worked as a laundress in a hotel initially after losing her husband and daughter, but she also at the same time assisted with the care of orphans with the Sisters of Charity. Now, her business endeavors began first managing dairy cattle for the Sisters of Charity, and then she bought a small dairy creamery of her own at 1524 7th Street. Now, her dairy is no longer there. Another home was constructed later on, but that is the location where her dairy was located. She also, during this time period, provided loans for other small businesses who needed assistance from getting started. So, startup money, angel investor, right? Now, one of these small businesses in particular fell on difficult times. This was Dockham Bakery. So they actually went bankrupt, and Margaret took over ownership. She then built it into a massive commercial steam bakery and helped fund the physical real estate for multiple orphanages and asylums across the city. Now, that's what I'm talking about. And she was so revered and well loved for using her business and property acumen to feed the city's poor and take care of the children that she became the first woman in the United States to have a public monument erected in her honor. And you can actually see that monument today. It's actually located on a portion of Britannia Street that's now called Margaret Place. So throughout the time that I've been doing this series, I also love to go to Google Maps to just kind of like visualize the spaces that these women actually took up space. But I also love the fact that where her monument is located is right down the street from a restaurant actually that's only been here for about 2 years. I love the backstory of the business owners, but it's known as the Beggar's Banquet. It's owned by two guys who moved here from New Jersey. I highly recommend checking them out. I'm not going to stop by and see them because this is the first time I heard of them. And I just love the fact that a restaurant called Beggar's Banquet is down the street from Margaret Place, from Margaret's actual monument, where you can stop by and give Margaret her flowers and tell her thank you, and then stop by the restaurant. I think that's really dope. So Margaret Haughery committed her income of both time and money to feeding the hungry, investing in local businesses, and funding housing for orphans and the economically poor of the city. And remember, she came to the city as a newly arrived Irish immigrant. She was unable to read. She could only find work washing clothing at a hotel, and then took advantage of opportunity, worked with the Sisters of Charity, learned how to raise dairy cattle, and then branched out and bought a dairy farm of her own, and then funded other businesses, and then had a bakery and brought food and butter and dairy products to feed people in the community, and gathered the money that she made from selling these products to continue to build and establish long-term legacies across the city. So Margaret is joining the ranks of all the other women so far in this series for showing us exactly what happens when a woman is given opportunity to take ownership of space and be at the lead. It creates lasting impact for generations to come. Be sure to come back because once again, there are so many more stories just like this throughout the city of New Orleans. And be sure to share these videos because we want to make sure that everyone knows their names.